1949. And there was no TV, but my mother was the funniest person I was to know. She would entertain us royally. And she also had the most simple wisdom. I mean, once I remember her taking my older brother and I aside, and my brother was, oh, he was the big guy on campus, handsome, all-around athlete. So she said, you know, kids, I want you to know something. You're pretty damn good looking. But if you little bastards ever get conceited about it, I will chop your heads off. She said, never do I want to see 1 ounce of conceit. She said, but you know what? I want you to have confidence about it. No conceit, a lot of confidence. My brother and I, you know, we kind of accepted that. So after I graduated in '49, I graduated with very good secretarial skills. I was taking dictation at 140 words per minute and typing on a royal manual 100 words per minute. Wow. So there was no job opportunities for me in our little town. So without my parents knowing it, I took a civil service test and didn't tell them until I was accepted. So I was accepted to work at the Navy Department in Washington, D.C. And I'll never forget going through all this secret clearance and so forth, because the Navy Department, the Bureau of Ships, was working on the CBB forest stall. And I had to be cleared off for all the dictation I was taking and so forth. So it was nice making all that extra money, because with the money I was making, I would send back home to my mother, because she always needed more money. My dear Aunt Millie, who was a roaring 20s flapper, her oldest sister, had done it for years. So anytime I would save money, I would send it home to help, because they always needed something. So, but every time I went shopping for clothes, a clerk would say to me, are you a model? I said, no, I work for the Navy Department. But I heard it so often, I thought to myself, maybe I ought to be a model. So I just happened to be reading a Glamour magazine, and lo and behold, the Harry Conover modeling agency was looking for new faces, and they requested pictures to be sent. So I had my roommate take a few pictures of me, and I sent it off to New York. And lo and behold, I got an answer, and they asked me to come for an interview at a certain time and so forth. So I go to New York, and my Aunt Millie at that time was living in Belmore, Long Island, and she goes on the interview with me. And I was interviewed by Candy Jones, who this is now 1950, who is then a top model, and she was also married to Harry Conover. So she was very impressed. She thought I'd be a perfect Conover model. And she even complimented my dear Aunt Millie on her looks and so forth. And she said, Dee, you would be a top model. However, all that weight has to go. I weighed 140 pounds. 5'7", that was okay. But too much weight. Had to be 110. 30 pounds. So I go back, and as I'm going back to Washington to begin my venture, I thought, of course, it's meant to be. It made me remember when I was about 15 years old. I used to, one of my chores was scrubbing the Saturday morning was scrubbing the kitchen floor. So I always arranged it so it'd be at noon. So every Saturday I'd get down on my hands and knees, scrubbing, and I had on the radio for my favorite radio program. And the program was Grand Central Station. And this loud organ music would come forth, and this baritone voice would say, Grand Central Station, New York City, a city of 8 million people, a city of 8 million stories. And then they would describe someone arriving in New York, in Grand Central, to begin a new career and a new life in the Big Apple. And I would be down there on my hands and knees scrubbing. I'm still smelling the smell of the Octagon soap, wringing out the dirty old towel wiping up, and I thought, someday, I'm going to arrive in Grand Central Station. And I thought, this is it. I'm on my way. So I go back to Washington, D.C., and I literally lived on coffee, black coffee, and grapefruit. I was determined to lose the weight. I remember once fainting. I was so hungry. But I continued, got down to 110, perfect model size, resigned my position, and I saved up $500 for my new venture, and I left Washington, and instead of going directly to New York, I thought, I'll stop off in Pennsylvania and visit with the family for a few days. So I flew into Johnstown, and back then, there were so few plane arrivals that the whole town would turn up. There'd be all these cars, people just sitting in their cars watching the plane arrive. So of course I would pose atop the steps and wave to the crowd. The cameras would be going and so forth. And as I'm coming down the steps, my dear mom comes rushing towards me. And she was very short and stout with ample bosoms. And she just scooped me up in her arms. And I mean, you knew what love was when Mom hugged you. That was love. And she pulled me at arm's length, and she looked at me and she, Babe, what have you done to yourself? What have you done to yourself? You look awful. I said, Mom, I'm going to be a model. That's what I have to do. The tears, she had these beautiful blue eyes. The tears were coming down her eyes, and she said, oh my God, babe, I know you're going to get tuberculosis. I just know you're going to get tuberculosis. So I said, Mom, honestly, I feel fine. I said, you're not used to seeing me this thin, but I'm fine. I don't know, babe. I don't know, babe. I don't know. And so I stay at home maybe 2 days or so, and she'd say, babe, would you do your mother a real big favor? I said, Mom, of course, anything for you. She said, would you stay home with me just a month before you go to New York? She said, just so I can watch you every day and really see if you feel as well as you say you do. So I said, oh, Mom, babe, please. I said, I had to give her that favor. So I was home maybe just 2 weeks, and she comes to me, and she says, babe, I have something to tell you. I said, what's the matter, Mom? She said, babe, I'm going to have another baby. I said, Mom, you're 44 years old. How could you? I said, that goddamn father, he should have known better. And I'm crying, and she's crying. And she says, oh, babe, I really hate to ask this of you, but could you stay and go through this with me? I said, sure, Mom. So I saw it through the other younger ones. In fact, I never remember having to have a baby doll. I hated them. I always had the real ones. So I said, of course, Mom, I'll stay with you. July 2nd, 1954, my brother Cliff, our 8th child, was born.